Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Now coming to this Mauryan Empire, one of the most empire of this time period. The rise of Magad culminated in the emergence of the Mauryan Empire. This is the Magad, with the name of the Magad only, this Mauryan Empire is related. Chandragupta Maurya, in approx it is written, C approx 321 BC, was the founder of the empire. So very simple a question comes, who founded Mauryan Empire? Answer is Chandragupta Maurya. Time period is C 321 BCE. Then what he did, what was his contribution? He extended control up to Afghanistan and Baluchistan, towards the northwest and towards the western side. This is now in Pakistan. This Baluchistan is in now Pakistan. Earlier it was the part of the Indian subcontinent till the 1947. Then it comes about that his grandson. The chapter is completely based on this. The main theme of the chapter is his grandson Ashoka. The Great is known for his conquest of Kalinga. Kalinga, it was that time also, it was in Odisha. Present day, it is in Odisha. At that time, during the time period of King Ashoka, it was a separate kingdom on the coast of Bay of Bengal. This is now the entire territory under the Mauryan rulers. This is now where we are in 321 BCE. Chandragupta Maurya, he founded this empire, Mauryan Empire, became the first ruler of the Mauryan dynasty. His grandson, King Ashoka. Ashoka is also became very famous with the name Ashoka the Great, and he has just won the war of Kalinga, which made him very famous in the world history. After that, he has given up the war and became a Buddhist. But here we are coming to discuss about that, the main capital city. Now children, we are coming to discuss about that, the expansion of the Mauryan Empire. With this map of India will show us about that, how many that the main cities were there, which were their capital cities, with the different symbols. Star mark is given for the main capital city during the Mauryan rulers, their regional capital centers. Other cities with this, the dotted line, it has been shown over here. Other than that, what it is there is about that pillar edict or the pillars which has been constructed during the Ashokan period. Major rock edict of Ashoka is used with that, the red dotted line, the point has been given. Minor rock edict of Ashoka is also been there, and the other inscriptions. As our this chapter is actually based on that, the inscriptions what tell a story. So most of the stories what we have available, what we are studying is from the inscriptions. So how this inscription is important, which can tell us about that, the entire fact or story about this time period which is mentioned in this chapter is 600 BCE to 600 CE. So this fact is very much very important about that. This we must have to understand in 250 BCE. In this BCE period, what are the important factors available? How these archaeologists, they study this and they have started giving us idea about that, Mauryan rulers, about the Gupta rulers. So the important role played in this period was the pillar edict, which has been, most of the pillar edicts were found, which has been written during the Asokan period. Major rock edicts were also there, minor were also there, and the other inscriptions were also available. So vast territorial means empire was ruled by the Mauryans. So this is the entire reason. If you look at this, the area, the region, how these Mauryan rulers were ruling this entire, the vast territory, the Indian subcontinent, right from Afghanistan, the entire Pakistan as a part of the Indian subcontinent, and leaving that some of the part of southern India. Rest, the entire part of Indian subcontinent were ruled by Mauryans. Now coming to discuss about that, historical sources of the Mauryan Empire. What histories are available? What are the sources available to understand the facts about the Mauryans? Historians have used variety of sources to reconstruct the history of the Mauryan Empire. What are they? The archaeological finds, especially sculpture. That is Asoka's inscription. Most of the things about this we found from the inscriptions. These archaeologists, they found and they have collected the ideas from the inscriptions. Literary sources like Indica. Indica is a name of a book. It is a name of a book. This is the account of Megasthenes. Megasthenes was a Greek ambassador. When he visited India, he has written about that, what he has observed. According to his experience, he has written everything in the book Indica. Then another it is mentioned over here is Arthashastra. Arthashastra written by Kautilya. Who was Kautilya? He was the chief minister in the Mauryan dynasty. And he became famous with the different names. Kautilya, as a chief, when he wrote his book Arthashastra, his name was Kautilya. Chanakya, his name was Chanakya also. And his real name was Vishnugupta. This was his real name. He was a chief minister with the name of Chanakya. And his one of the famous book also, Chanakya Niti Darpana. Niti Darpana on the base diplomacy, the entire diplomacy and the diplomatic relations, how the king or the ruler, they have to use it. The entire process and principles are written in that book. Even though the Arthashastra also, it gives the idea how a ruler should rule the country. Other than that, Buddhist texts are there, the Jain texts are there, Puranic literature. What we have this, the chapter was beginning only with that, the Rig Veda. We have the 4 different Vedas. Rig Veda, Samved, Yajurved, Atharvaved. These are the 4 important Vedas. Other than that, Dharma Sutras, Dharma Shastras were there. According to that, the Brahmins, they have written the rules, how a king should rule over the territory, how king can rule the kingdom. Then Puranic literature means that the Puran, we have Vedas, we have Upanishads, we have Purans, we have Dharma Shastras, Dharma Sutras. So according to this, whatever the facts were available to this archaeologist, they try to collect the ideas, to collect the views, how the society was ruled, how the people, they just have gone through all such things. how the king ruled over the territory, what type of the administration were followed. Everything is available in different types of the textbooks, in different inscriptions about the kings, about the common people. This is now about Asoka the Great. What was his view? It is written in this from the edict, from a pillar. It has been collected by one of the archaeologists. And so nicely it is explained also over here. All men are my children. It is very famous statement for Asoka also. He was dealing his subject just like as a father. So the statement was also written in one of his edicts. All men are my children. What I desire for my own children, and I desire their welfare and happiness, both in this world and the next. Not only he is praying for that, their well-being of that, the present existing life, but even after this life also, that I desire for all men. You do not understand to what extent I desire this. And if some of you do understand, you do not understand the full extent of my desire. So how much means that he tried to express his ideas, even though he was also suspicious. His love, his affection towards his citizens, the people who they are residing in his territorial boundary. So this way he tried to express his deep feeling, his love for his citizens, for his people who they were living under his territory, under his rule. Then another important, this message which was given by Asoka. He was the first ruler who inscribed his messages to his people on stone, rocks and pillars. He was the first ruler. He did not only insisted his means whosoever is supposed to scribe, to write only in the temples or in the palaces, but even on the rocks, on the pillars, he insisted his writers to write about the facts of life. He used the inscriptions to proclaim his principles of Dhamma. As it is said that somewhere this is the principle of Dharma. What it is written over here? Dhamma. Archaeologists and the historians, they speak about that. Might be it is in Pali or in Prakrit language. So where this Dhamma, according to Asoka's inscriptions, what he proclaims about that respect to elders. Respect to elders. Generosity towards Brahmins and other sects. As Brahmins were the learned people, they were having the knowledge or idea about the Vedas, and Vedas were full of the knowledgeable book in those days. So what he was insisting about that generosity towards Brahmins and other sects, kindness to slaves and servants, because they, although they are the slaves, they are supposed to give their services to the higher class people, but we must have to be very kind about our servants. Religious tolerance towards other religions. What we are talking nowadays about that, what? Secularism. What we are talking about? Secularism. Tolerance towards religious tolerance. What it is said that? It is secularism. Now it is the main or inscribed words in our preamble. In 1946, when our Constituent Assembly sat for that, the writing of the Indian Constitution, they started thinking about this word secularism. But This secularism was actually during the 250 BC. This term was used by King Asoka. Very simply, we are not calling him he was Asoka the Great. The things which was followed, his principles made him great. He was tolerant towards all the religions. Because many of the religions they have just started practicing by people, like Buddhism, like Jainism. Islam was already there, Christianity was already existing, not in our country, but in different parts of the world. Then now coming to discuss with the most important features of the Mauryans, which is based on their administration. Just now we saw that the map of India, how vast territory were ruled by the Mauryans. So they must have the very good quality of the administrative system. And from where we are getting all these ideas? Either from the accounts of Indica written by Megasthenes. He was a Greek ambassador, written by Kautilya in his book Arthashastra, from the Buddhist and the Jain text, which was fully based on that, the religion. But many of the facts they have written about that, what the society, or what about the society, about the common people, how they were practicing, how they were leading their common life, or which is the things related to their day-to-day life. This is now we are coming to discuss about the administration. Especially and basically it is mentioned in the Ashokan inscriptions. Ashokan inscription is, children may say one more important thing is about that. In the name of Ashoka, many a places you may get it is SH is also written. Many a places it is only ASOKA. So both the way it is correct only. It is widely accepted with the name of the Ashoka. So now coming to this about the Mauryan administration. The Mauryan king was the center of the great administrative system. Their administrative system was great. The king enjoyed the absolute power. The vast empire was divided into number of provinces. In the previous map, already there are the lots of the instruction given over there, how we have to study. States were there along with their regional capital. Other than that, these Mauryans, they had a strong standing army. In the beginning of the chapter also we study about that. And most of the young peasantry group, they were the part of the standing army. Iron was already discovered. Iron weapons were used by the army, which were very durable, as well as they use elephants. So this is all about the importance of this. The strong standing army were there, absolute power was there in the hands of the king, and the vast empire was divided into the number of provinces. Now coming to discuss about that, the 5 major political centers. How many? 5 major. Many of that the political centers were there, but among all, these 5 were very important. Patliputra, present day Patna, capital city of Bihar. Takshila, now it is not in India. Ujjaini, it's a city in Madhya Pradesh. Toshali and Suvarnagiri. This is to administer the vast empire. These centers were situated on important long distance trade route. All these are situated on the long distance trade route to give the connectivity from one trading center to the another trading center. This is the communication along both land and riverine, means the waterways, was vital for the existence of the empire. So although these, the important 5 cities, if you try to locate it on the map of India, you may find it that how these trade routes are being connected. They were connected with that both land routes as well as the riverine. Second point, it comes about that all these are the part of the administration. Second, role of the subcommittees. Very efficient administrative system was there. What the historians they found about that from the inscriptions, from the accounts, from the religious textbooks. Megasthenes, now coming to Megasthenes' book, Indica, he mentioned a committee with 6 subcommittees. First of all, what he described about a committee, and that committee was divided into the 6 subcommittees, which was organized for coordinating military activity. What we are talking about that? Portfolios and the sub-portfolios, the different departments. In those days also it was like that. They looked after the navy, then transport infantry, cavalry, chariots and the elephants. So this way we can understand about that how organized administration was there. And these information historians collected from the accounts of Megasthenes in his book Indica. What was the name? Megasthenes wrote Indica. So they were the navy, transport infantry, cavalry, chariots and elephants. Then next it comes about that the second committee. This is the first committee. First committee was further divided into the 6 subcommittees. Then next committee was to arrange bullock carts, to carry equipments, procure food for soldiers and fodder for animals, and recruit servants and artisans to look after the soldiers. Can imagine about that how nicely it was organized. First committee was there, it was subdivided into the 6 subcommittees, further divided into that. Then the second committee was also there. The second committee was also organized in a different manner. Bullock carts were there, and these bullock carts, they only carry the equipments. Food procurement was their work for the soldiers. With that, the standing army, they need the food also. They need the war weapons also. Not only that, cavalry was there, elephants were there in the standing army, as well as bulls were there, who they were just drawing the carts. So for them, fodder were also required. Other than that, the servants also required, artisans also required to make the weapons, to make the tools, to repair all such things. So servants and artisans were also there in their group to look after the soldiers and to fulfill their demands. So this way administration was well organized in Mauryan ruler during the Mauryan period. Third point, it comes about that measures by Asoka to hold his empire. What measures were adopted by Asoka to control the so vast territory it was there? How to hold, how to control? What were the measures adopted by Asoka? Asoka tried to hold his empire together by propagating Dhamma. This is a very important term in this chapter. Propagating Dhamma. Just now we discussed about that. What? Secularism. Tolerance towards all the religion. Other than that, this Dhamma word is also been used by Asoka, and many of his pillars and edicts it has been found. He appointed special officers called Dhamma Mahamattas to spread the message of Dhamma. This was his one of the most important measures. Special officers were appointed by him to spread the message of Dhamma throughout the territorial boundary of Mauryan rulers ruled by Mauryan Empire during the period of King Asoka, and these special officers were known as Dhamma Mahamattas.